All right. Hey there, guys. All right, you guys. We're in today for our last 50-50 class of the year. Today's class should be doable with just some heavy weights. The only piece of equipment we need, we can also utilize a band that you can wrap around your ankles well, sorry, not your ankles, your knees today. Um, Optional band there. It's just gonna be for squats. If you want to slip them on, make those squats, and maybe in the next set of RDLs a little bit more difficult. It'll be an option for that, although completely optional. Um, Otherwise, yeah, everything else should be body weight. Like I said, this is our 50-50 class. So we doing some things a little bit more high tempo, some things more aerobically, as well as some things more um, anaerobically, some more strength-based stuff. So yeah, we're gonna get into it, guys, in just a moment here. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with our 50-50 class for today. Once again, today should be doable with just some heavy weights. Again, medium weights available on the side if you ever feel like you want to drop down. I always say quality over quantity of reps, and that goes the same thing for load. We'd rather stick with a load where we can maintain solid form than feel we have to do it with a heavier form. I just think heavyweights should do well for most of today's class, but of course, having a drop down set available or drop down weight always acceptable. Furthermore, make sure you guys have water next to you. I'll of course be providing breaks, but if you ever want to take a break on your own time, you guys are in your own home, so feel more than free to do that. I also have a band here. We can utilize those for some squats just to help us keep our knees apart, work on some further glute activation. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Give me those arm circles, guys, nice and small, eventually making them bigger. We're warming up the shoulder here, and while we're doing that, guys, let's get a little bit of movement here. That could be anything. It could be just a foot pedal while we're doing these arm circles. It could be a slight march. It could be a little bit of a bigger step. I don't care if you also want to just shuffle to the side or walk around in circles. The reason why we like to say this is we're trying to get that whole body moving for some aerobic and anaerobic components that are going to be addressed today. Some resistance training, some quicker modalities, as well as some slower things that we're going to focus on. So we want to make sure we're getting the full movement. And of course, you guys are still doing these arm circles here, taking a few at the top and then bringing them back down to center for me. Really focus on what that shoulder is feeling right now, not just having that hand go in a circle. Let's focus on the mobility and stability of that shoulder. Once we get down to center, let's start going backwards, doing the same thing. And one thing that we can focus on a little bit more now is, especially once these circles get nice and big, once we know where that shoulder is, let's see if we can't get a nice stretch out of that chest, as well as activate that upper back, especially when we're up here. Stretch that chest, activate that upper back, and have it come back down to center. We're going to expand upon that, both arms out here. You're going to give me some hamstring curls, some kicks, as well as a chest opener. Again, same thing with those arms. Let's really focus on stretching out that chest, lifting our body up, correcting our posture, as well as activating those muscles in the back, especially some of those smaller muscles. This is great for our posture, especially if we spend a lot of time forward, maybe at a laptop or a computer, maybe if we're at home and our at-home desk isn't as ideal as our on office site desk. So this is a great opportunity to focus on some of those activities that can really benefit us, at least to some extent. You know, there's always more that we can do, but let's really try to focus on opening up that chest, because that's the muscle that tends to squeeze us in a little bit more. From there, guys, we're gonna go ahead, plant our feet down, and just start giving me some squats. Focus first here on pressing through the heels, activating those glutes as well as those hamstrings, rather than getting too quad heavy by leaning too far forward over them to our toes, and then keep our knees apart, avoiding letting them come in. And now at the top, guys, just start giving me some calf raises. You have a whole host of muscles down here below the knee, both in front and behind the leg, as well as off to the sides, all of which play an important role at helping our heart reduce its workload by making those muscles stronger, or at least making them more active through these contractions, like those calf raises at the top of these squats. From here, guys, we're gonna go ahead, go into a lunge, forward or backwards, doesn't matter. What I want you to focus on is you can start off normal pace, but then what I want you to also make sure you're doing is not letting those hips dip down like that, keeping a nice or a proper posture. Also keeping that pelvis neutral to the ground, keeping that torso upright, not overextended, but still upright, not leaning too far forward. And then, yes, we can start these off normal, but I also want to encourage you to get some nice slow movement on the way down during this eccentric portion. We do this so that we can get a nice hip flexor stretch, while also kind of strengthening that muscle. It's stretching while strengthening. That's the beauty of an eccentric stretch. And that's important because a lot of us, if we stand ourselves in this position seated all day, those hip flexors can get tight, but also stay weak for some of us. And doing something like this allows us to stretch while strengthening, and that's really important. Right there, though, I'll have you guys come on up. Let's just go into the side lunge, side shifter, where we focus here on stretching the interior thighs, those adductors of that outstretched leg. And we're staying low here just to get some glute activation going for us. But if that's feeling like a little too much, feel free to come up, stretch off to the side, come up, stretch off to the side, because again, the main focus here is that stretch. But if we can stay low as well, warm up more of the leg, that's even better. Right there, I'll have you guys come on up. Just give me some hip openers. Hip openers. Inside to out, activating those glutes, further stretching those adductors a little bit. And now the opposite. Outside in, doing the reversal, maybe getting a little stretch in those glutes, a little activation in those adductors. And right there, guys, go ahead, get a drink of water, stay moving. Whenever you take a sip of water, I want you to stay moving as much as possible, even if it's just that heel pumper. But again, just not letting our body settle down for the blood to pool. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, guys, as you're coming back to me, we're going to start off with a little bit of strength here, further warm up our body. Beginning 2 dumbbells in our hands. I just have one so I can hold on to the timer as well, but simultaneous shoulder press here. We're going to start that in about 10 seconds. What I have here is a stagger stance so that I can take less or more stress off of my spine. And we're pressing there, starting in 2, 1, right here, shoulder press. Guys, we're focusing on strength here, especially strengthening one of the weaker, less stable joints in the body. So what we never want to do when we're pressing is press up really quick or feel the need to use our legs and press up at the same time. That's just because all those forces end up catching in our shoulders, which may, but not always, but may at sometimes do some unnecessary damage within that shoulder capsule. So if we're working strength, especially with the shoulder, we want to make sure we're having constant control over the body, smooth transitions at both the top, at the bottom and the top of that movement. Guys, 2, 1, stop right there. We're gonna go into a hip hinge with a stagger stance here, keeping that back nice and straight. We're going into a row. Let's begin by first retracting those shoulder blades, driving those elbows back, and continuing right there. If you want to keep those shoulder blades contracted the whole time, that's awesome. But every now and then, do have a mental check for yourself to make sure they're still as close together as they can be. Otherwise, here at the bottom, you can always relax and re-engage those shoulder blades and drive those elbows, guys, as high as you can. Feel free to switch legs. I know sometimes we like to do that when we're in class to make sure we're not getting unbalanced. If you feel that you want to do that, quite okay. But make sure we're driving those elbows as far back as we can, activating that upper tissue right there. You guys are giving me 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to keep those weights if you want to. Again, both weights, both hands. I have a stopwatch. We're going to do some squats. Those weights can be out here, kind of like a goblet squat, out in front, down low, off to the sides. We're resting on our shoulders. I know sometimes you guys like to do that, but we're going to just be doing some squats. Again, weights not necessary here. We'll start here in 3, 2, and begin. Just give me some squats, you guys. Keeping our pressure through the heels, sitting back on those heels so we can maximally activate those glutes. Feel those glutes and those hamstrings contract along with the quads. But let's try to put some mental focus on those glutes and hamstrings, because those are the muscles that we tend to forget about. And sometimes some of us like to get a little quad heavy. So in order to counter that, sometimes just a little mental focus on what's happening back there can really assist with that. You guys are giving me about 10 more seconds here, 10 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You guys are going to go into an RDL next. So we're going to have both of those weights here again out in front. Make sure we're pinching those shoulder blades together. Great posture. Keep that posture that you have up front here. And as you start to hinge yourself at the hips, maybe a slight bend in the knees, you're now doing a nice little deadlift here, focusing on feeling that stretch in the glutes and especially the hamstrings as our trigger to come back up. And we're squeezing those muscles down here to right ourselves, guys. You're with me right here. While we're here, guys, let's focus on not letting those knees buckle in. Stay conscious that those knees aren't moving. Again, driving through the floor, squeezing our glutes, squeezing our hamstrings. That's how we rotate our pelvis and bring our spine back up here. Full extension at the top. Guys are giving me just 10 more seconds here. 10 more seconds, and we're repeating those last 4 activities. Again, trying to get some more blood flow, a little bit more fatigue to some of these areas. 3, 2, and 1. Guys, we're going right back into those shoulder presses, followed by the rows, followed by the squats, followed by that RDL. Less break in between. Here, starting with those shoulder blades or shoulders in 2, 1, and press. And again, we like to have this stagger stance because sometimes when we find our feet together like this, sometimes we overextend here, which not only defeats the purpose of trying to focus on the shoulder because you get a little bit of a pressing motion from the chest, but it's also creating a little bit of unnecessary pressure on our spine, and that's really our main focus for trying to stagger this stance so we can keep our spine upright. You guys are giving me 15 seconds here, 15 seconds. 10 to go. Right after that, we're going right back into those rows, you guys. 5, 4, 3, 2. Stagger that stance, maybe a little bit more. Hinge at the hips, back straight. We're right into it, guys. Right into those rows. Really focus now After you focus on pinching those shoulder blades together, drive those elbows as high as you can. Feel free, most definitely, to take a 1 to 2 second pause there at the top. You guys give me less than 15 here, less than 15. Now we're right back into those squats. 5, 4, 3, 2, and right before we hop into those squats, if you guys had that band, now is a great time to slip that on, place it right around the knees so we can focus further on keeping those knees apart. But we're gonna go ahead and start those squats in 2, 1, right here, guys, squats. And if we feel like we maybe want to speed these squats up a little bit, we can set those weights down, and I'll let you guys go a little bit more at whatever pace that you want to go. If you maybe want to get that heart pumping, because we're going to have a little bit of a water break, and we're going to get a little bit more into it, but we want to put those weights down first so we can take the focus off of strength and more onto some fast repetition, heart pumping movements. You guys are giving me 15 here, 15. Again, even if we're going fast, let's keep that pressure as much as we can through those heels. Still trying to squeeze those glutes on the way up. But by taking those weights out, we can protect our spine, protect our hips a little bit better. Right there, guys. We can keep the band on, but we want the weights back. RDL in 3, 2, and begin. Again, if we have that band, it just helps us focus keeping those knees apart. If it's feeling like it's a little stressful on the knees, sometimes you don't know how a piece of equipment is going to feel, and it's not quite activating those glutes here, and maybe a little bit of the quads. Keep that band around. Let's just slip that band off and not turn any excess stress on the knees. Less than 15 seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Right before I give you guys a water break, I want you guys to take those weights or not, but we're just going to spend a little time just doing some calf raises. And like I said before, the reason we like to do this is because these legs or these muscles down below the knee, as well as every muscle in your body, plays a significant role in being able to redirect blood back up to your heart. It's kind of like a little bit of a helping hand so that the heart doesn't have to push as forcefully to get those blood to beat up against gravity. The more we can strengthen these muscles, keep them nice and strong throughout life, the healthier our heart can be. And there are other muscles, but in a virtual setting like this, the calf raise is the easiest way to teach that. But you can also maybe do a dorsiflexion, inversion, eversion as well. And right there, I'll have you guys stop, grab a drink of water, stay moving. We'll be back here in just a moment. All right, as you guys are coming on back to me, we're going to start right into it, getting some jumping jacks in. They could be full-on jumping jacks, trying to get those legs out as far as possible, making sure those arms are coming up together. Or if you want a little less of a plyometric action, maybe to protect our hips, knees, and ankles if we're a little concerned there, just giving me a nice step out. You can maybe even give it a little bit of a bend in that front leg, keeping that other leg outstretched, still trying to get as far as possible, and of course, giving us that outreach. Guys, let's start that in 2, 1, right here. And of course, if we're doing this modified version, we can still take it nice and slow and speed up as we're ready. But still trying to reach as far as possible, having that straight line running down our body, coming back up, Same thing. Boom, boom, boom. Guys are giving me 10 seconds, 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now that we got that heart pumping a little bit, we're gonna be doing some in and out squat jumps. So squat down, jump up, right here. Make sure that we're catching ourselves now on our balls of our feet rather than our heels. That's gonna help protect our hips, knees, and ankles. Start that in 3, 2, and 1. Squat down, jump up, catch, slight bend in the knees when we're up top here. Re-engage, reload down at the bottom. And again, if we maybe don't want to do that, too much plyometric, let's just focus on giving me a squat and a calf raise up at top. You guys are about halfway here, halfway. And it's okay if you're doing the full in and out to modify it down to that squat calf raise if we're feeling a little too fatigued. You guys are giving me another 5, 4, 3, 2, and right there. I'll have you guys spread those legs a little bit. Arms extend. We're giving me some windmills here. Opposite leg, opposite arm. Start slow, speed up as you're ready. Start in 2, 1. So take it slow. The reason we're taking it slow at first is because this is a more ballistic movement. So we want to feel when that stretch occurs in that off leg. Feel, that active leg. That's our range of motion limit. We want to get comfortable there. We want to understand that before we start going real fast, and understand that you might not be able to hit that range of motion limit after you speed up. You might want to start decelerating a little bit before that, but you might also start doing that naturally. But that's a protective factor, so we don't have to worry about overstretching our hamstrings. And of course, you can keep it slower the whole time. We're still getting a more modified body movement. You guys are giving me less than 10 seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Right there, guys. We're going to take it on down to the mat, and we're going to be giving me some push-ups. Nothing fancy about them push-ups. They can be on our knees. They can be up normal. We're having about 45 seconds here. We'll start that in 2, 1. Go ahead. The slower you go, the more difficult, the more strength-based it'll be. You can even count down for 6, 8, or 10 seconds. The faster you'll be, the more heart pumping you're going to get out of it. Less strength you'll get, but it'll be more repetitive movements, still a body weight movement. You might feel fatiguing a little bit quicker, and that's just because you're not getting as much oxygen. Less than 15 here, but if you went slow, focus on your breathing, you'll improve strength further, as well as still getting a little bit more of an aerobic potential out of it as well here. 3, 2, and break right there, guys. Go ahead, take a sip. If we have that water bottle next to us, feel free to grab it. Otherwise, we're coming on down to the ground here. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to be up like this. You're going to be in tabletop position, and we're going to hold a bird dog for 45 seconds. We're going to start that in 2, 1, right up here, holding, opposite arm, opposite leg, straight line through the body, 45 seconds. Try not to wobble. It might take a little bit to catch our balance, but when we do, let's make sure we have that straight line going all the way through our body. Over a third of the way. After these 45 seconds, we're going to go ahead, switch over, do the same thing for the other side of the body. 15 to go. 10 to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead, switch, and let's do the same thing, other side. 3, 2, and 1. Again, straight arm, straight leg out. We like this bird dog movement because it's constantly one of researchers, medical professionals' favorite ways to help prevent or improve the symptoms of low back pain. You have to extend your glutes, extend your low back, as well extend some smaller but important postural muscles in the upper back to control that shoulder. And it's something that's great to do. The other alternative, maybe sometimes if our knees aren't feeling great one day, is to do a Superman or Superwoman, which we've also done in previous classes. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The other thing we're going to do, guys, is another great way to prevent low back pain is to do this plank. You guys got 45 seconds for me. 3, 2, 1. We're on our forearms here. Elbows right below the shoulders. Straight line from our shoulders to our hips to our ankles, with maybe our hips being a little bit higher up. And then we're pulling in everything towards our spine, from our abdominals in the front to our obliques on the side to our low back extensors in the back. Let's try to pull everything in. This is great for posture, great for pelvic stabilization. You guys are giving me another 15 seconds here. 15. 10 to go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and break right there, guys. Definitely right now, make sure we have that water bottle nice and close to us. We're going to start out here. Just give me a quick stretch down the middle. V stretch here, focusing on those adductors. And you guys are going to give me a stretch off to the left side. Feel free to grab the toes if you'd like. Otherwise, also acceptable to just let those hands rest wherever they may be. This is true for pretty much all stretches you do. And let that upper body be the load that pulls you down. It always is. But sometimes when we grab here, we focus too much on a measure like that. Let's go ahead and switch right there, you guys. But yes, we want to make sure that we're focusing on the mechanics of the stretch, which is really our torso coming down towards the ground here, pulling on that musculature in that upper thigh. Sometimes we can get that also by still pulling that body with our hands, but sometimes it helps us, or it forces us to cheat by bending that knee. We don't get anything, so feel free to keep those hands right there. Guys, rest right there. Bring those legs in for me. Give me a nice butterfly. Again, attacking those adductors a little bit. And right there, we're going to go ahead, lay down here on the mat. We're going to pull one ankle on the opposite knee, pull in that bottom knee, and stretch right there. This is stretching our glute and really targeting that piriformis. Let's also make sure we're grabbing behind the knee, towards that back thigh rather than over the knee. And that's to protect things like our ACL joint, as well as just our overall knee configuration. And also, let's give us a few ankle rollouts towards the top there. 2, 1, switch. Give me that same thing. Other side. Again, doing those ankle rollouts, this is a great position to contract those muscles, either doing some dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, pulling those toes up and down, off to the side, or just giving me some 360 degrees, both clockwise and counterclockwise. 10 more seconds here, and then we're going to finish standing up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 right there, guys. We're going to go ahead, stand on up. We are going to reach over to a wall. We're going to do a chest stretch. The other thing that you can do is just link our hands behind our back, pull up. Or if we have a band at home, we can stretch or pull. We've done those in previous classes, but I prefer the wall. Go ahead, stretching right back there. And right there, let's go ahead, come on off, rotate on over to the other side. And right there, guys, we're going to return to center here. We're going to do our 4-way neck stretch as we always finish off. Great to get blood flow going back to the brain. Let's start off by dipping that chin down to our chest, stretching the back of our neck. Again, we want to make sure that our posture is nice and straight here, and then we want to relax. For some of us, that means putting our hands down by our side, but we still even want to relax those shoulders even after we've adjusted our posture. And right there, let's go ahead, raise it up, tilt our head back here, chin to the ceiling, stretch the front of our neck. And return to center, one ear, same side shoulder, stretch the side of our neck. And raise it up, give me the same thing on the other side. And right there, guys, that's going to conclude us for today's 50-50 class. Thank you guys so much for joining me. A reminder, Dylan will be back Monday for the start of the new year. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy the end of your year today and have a great start to it tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week.